Hello, folks. Oh, and welcome.
Willkommen.
Willkommen. Oh, my Lanta, we're back again, baby. Welcome to We the Peeps. This is the American Soccer Podcast in which you are going to get to know everything. Not some of the things. Unfortunately, every single thing that you need to know about the US. Todos things. About the USMNT. I am Clayton, and I'm an artist.
I'm Ty. I'm an entrepreneur.
We love these shiny modern gnats.
Yes. Qualies.
Let's go.
Oh my god.
It's We the Peeps. It's We the Peeps. Welcome to We the Peeps. Are you ready for We the Peeps? Holy moly, it's We the Peeps.
Folks, welcome to another Rasta Pod. It's a Rasta Pod time. Y'all know what it is, what it do. Rasta Pods, they're our favorite, they're your favorite. This is borne out in the numbers, all right? We have data that everyone loves Rasta Pods. So welcome on in, folks. If you are new to the scene, thank you so much for joining us, for checking us out, and for getting to know these gnats. We've got an epic roster. We've got real live World Cup qualifiers. It's the real deal. This is not a drill.
Baby.
This is not a drill, folks. It's the real thing, and we're going to get into all of it. But first, some housekeeping very briefly. The number one thing you can do to support our show is what? There's a few number ones. A few things tied for number one. First up, we've got tell a friend. You gotta tell a friend. You are going to watch these World Cup qualifiers within speaking distance, within voice range of someone who does not know about our show. So use that voice, get it going, and tell them about our friggin' show, because we need all the help we can get, and it'll be too late pretty soon. So let's do this thing. Tell your friends. Reach out to us on Twitter at WTPPod to hang out with us. You can find us on Wilbur Tango Pizza Pod. You can find us streaming live on YouTube, recording these episodes by searching us on YouTube. I don't think there's quite as easy of a link to just quote for you to find that. But if you search WTP Pod on YouTube and hit that subscribe and notification button, you'll get everything you need from us there. Don't forget as well that a 5-star iTunes review is a really quick and easy way for you to boost up our show. So please consider doing that. And last but definitely not least, perhaps least, is the Patreon. Hit us up on Patreon. Patreon.com/WTP Pod. For just $5 a month, that's 5 millions of Jurgen dollars and about 0.0112 Ricardo Pepe dollars. Ricardo Pepe pesos.
Pepe pesos.
Very few Pepe pesos, because those are so expensive right now.
I want to get involved with.
You can become a ratified peep on our become a ratified part of this community. Ratified peep on our Patreon. Do that. It helps us out. The show is not free to produce. We love doing it. It's not that it's gonna stop happening. But it does make it a lot easier to continue doing
Other things
the
in
show.
our lives have to stop happening.
If you don't submit to our Patreon, something's got to give here. Guys, we need you to do that, so please do that. And if you've already done that, as always, thank you so much.
Sorry, son, I can't take you to the movies.
Today's not the day.
Daddy spent all his money on hosting.
No more Applebee's for this month.
No more Applebee's.
Because Daddy need to stream obscure streaming channel to follow Pifak. All right, guys, let's get into it. It's a Rasta Pod. We've rate and review. We've got 3 games coming up, and they're all going to be played by some combination of the names I'm about to list out to you. Ty, are you ready to do this thing?
Never been more ready. Waited
Oh my
5
God.
fucking years for this shit, man. Come on.
The amount
Come
of
on.
years we've waited for this roster pod. Let's fucking get it. All right, both gloves. How many gloves are there to go around? Because we've got 3 in, I think, pretty even competition for him. We have Ethan Horvath, Zach Steffen, and it's your boy, Matty Two Hands Turner.
Can you play
from the
2
grave.
keepers? Can you play 3 keepers?
We might need one of these guys. Zach Steffen's pretty good with his feet. You're playing center back.
Yeah, center back.
All right.
Yeah, Zach Steffen's
Defenders, we're bringing Georgie Bello. You know him, you done
Bello.
been loved him.
Under my
John
George
Brooks.
Bello.
L-O-L-O-A-A.
Brooks.
John
baby
Brooks.
Brooks. Yes.
Baby Brooksy baby, freshly shaved. Let's do this. We've got Serginho Destino. Just
aerodynamic.
the power rankings just in for Barcelona. He just became their 7th best player, maybe?
Yeah, he definitely
someone
got
left?
bumped up a notch, yeah.
After someone left Barcelona.
someone.
Serginho Dest Barcelona now. It's certainly the Netherlands Barcelona,
Serginho's
but
team now.
unfortunately the Netherlands cannot claim Dest because he's our dual nat. Let's do this. We've got also Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, who's looking around wondering, how in God's name did my life work out so that I would be on this roster? But it did, and we're all wondering the same thing, Tim Ream, but welcome on in. Anthony Robinson, the Jedi, on the left there, we hope. Miles Robinson, Jimmy Sando, DeAndre Yedlin is back with us, with his Ghent neck tattoo, which you could see if you were joining the live stream on YouTube I have in my background. We've got Walker Zimmerman as well, joining us from the MLS. Let's see, he's not
Los
the only one
MLS.
from the MLS. I don't know. He just stands out to me as an MLS guy. George Bello's like 1 foot out the door. Midfielders, we've got Kellen Acosta. Speaking of the MLS, Sebastian Lletget, you're just too legit to quit. I just cannot quit you, Sebastian Lletget.
We cannot quit you.
The West is yet to manifest Westiny.
Oh!
McKenney.
So, on a prior episode, sorry to interrupt the roster, on a prior episode, we had Sebastian Lletget, LA Galaxy, 24 caps, 7 goals. So, Lletget, 24/7. This
Yep.
roster, guess who's 24/7 now?
It's 24/7.
Weston McKennie, 24 caps,
all day,
7 goals,
baby.
all day, homie.
Ah,
These
beautiful.
two, they earned it.
Peep nominations for you for being 24/7 in some regard. And then, of course, our Roldan, the Roldan that we got. Christian
Yes, that's right.
Roldan in the midfield. Up front, it's about to get spicy. It's about to get, postmodern. It's about to get sleek. Let's do this thing. It's the modern player.
Wow.
We have Brendan Aronson from Salzburg, Conrad De La Fuente, fishy report from Marseille these days. What's up? Jordan Pafak is going on in here from Young Boys. Ricardo, count it, Pepe. 0-0. Paradox, the anomaly, 0/0. No caps, no goals, because it's his firstie. Welcome to the USMNT, Ricardo Pepe. Woo! Christian Pulisic, get on in there. Giovanni Reina, no doubt. Another screamer for Borussia Dortmund this week. Let's go. Josh Sargent, Norwich City's finest. Another bad team that wears green jerseys where he can lose with Rashica. And lastly, but not leastly, Tim Weah.
Timo.
Lille, who is also featured in my YouTube visual background. Ty, we got a roster. It's been a few days. You've had some time to process. What are your first impressions?
I'm very pleased with the roster. The core of it is certainly the best 8 or 9 guys we have available. And the fringe spots have been filled not necessarily with safe choices, but with some risky choices. And that's really exciting for me to see. So we've seen Berhalter bring in a lot of different kinds of rosters, and we just have never really known when he's serious, because there always seems to be a caveat to every single tournament, and COVID has something to do with that, and that's fair. But this is finally a situation where no excuses, no caveats, win now, there's no emphasis on development. These are the best players for this week to win games for the US to get us into the World Cup. There's no argument about that. Nothing else is a priority. And so to see him just pick Ricardo Pepi sight unseen is stunning. And
it's huge.
There's some injuries and things like that are behind that a little bit, but I'm happy with most of these choices. There's a couple names I would have liked to see, and a couple names I wish I wasn't seeing, but that's okay. On balance, I'm happy, and as I've said, I'm reserving judgment on the Berhalter experience until we get a lineup for El Salvador. But if we're one step closer to a really solid lineup for that first match against El Salvador.
We are very close. Ty's referring to a promise that I reminded him of recently. I've been, post-COVID Gregor. I'll say, I won't say post-COVID because that's not accurate, but I will say post-vaccine Greg has been a different Greg to me.
Pfizer Greg.
I think Pfizer Greg, Johnson & Johnson, JJGG.
JJGG.
He's a different GGG to me. I have loved this guy, but Ty has withheld his final marks, not quite final, but his first final marks on the Greg experience until we see the lineup in the first qualifier, which is coming up fast versus El Salvador. So before we talk about that, we have to address a little further the Ricardo Pepi situation. So you mentioned a couple injuries to Zardes, injuries to what's his face, DK. So we've got Zardes and DK not here, correct? Or there's a
correct.
Was it a COVID situation, or so they weren't going to be here?
I think just injury, yeah. But Hoppy is not here, and I think he's healthy. That was a little bit.
Hoppy did not get selected.
So Pepi is kind of taking that Hoppy spot, but obviously they're leaning more on the 9. So they have Sargent and Pifak who can play there, but Pepi does nothing but score as far as I've seen. So
for those who aren't familiar, who's Ricardo Pepi? What's going on here?
So he's the latest starlet of the Dallas Academy. He broke onto the scene a couple years ago when he was playing for their USL affiliate, North Texas, as a 15 or 16-year-old and scoring tons and tons of goals. And so there's been a half-joking, half-serious hype train around him. So he's now known kind of semi-officially as just the train. And he is also a dual national. So this season has been his breakout year in MLS. He's got 9 goals in maybe 20-odd games so far this year. Clearly top player in MLS, and he's presumably attracting a lot more attention from Mexico. And so now is the time, if we're going to act, it's become a lot more urgent. So he's one where I wished that he was on the Gold Cup roster, because that would have been an easier time to integrate a hot young player, but I'll take it. If we're just going to get him on the field a little bit in these World Cup qualifiers, maybe in moments where the game is locked up, or even in moments where we need a goal, he's one of the hotter American strikers at the moment, regardless of his past international experience. That counts for something.
So the first knee-jerk reaction is this is a predatory cap, and then the discussion becomes, is it, what are the ethics around predatory capping? I want to stop the conversation right there and say, this might not be as predatory as you think it is. I mean,
I don't think so. I think it's a combination. Yeah.
There is absolutely an argument for Ricardo Pepi being included on this squad, given the field, given the situation. He's a guy who is scoring goals in the MLS, which is enough to get you on to the men's national team right now, because we don't have a clear goal-scoring number 9. Ty, do you think that's fair to say that this didn't have to be a dual national situation to justify Ricardo Pepi's presence?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really solid to have more pressure on Sargent as well, because Sibachu provides a little bit of that, but I think having even more in the camp is great. And, at the moment, I think Pepi and Sargent would be at a similar level. So I'm excited to see what he can bring.
That's a stretch. I definitely put Sargent above Pepi in general overall, but I would roll the dice.
What's he done so far? I mean, what has he done for Norwich that Pepi wouldn't have done for Norwich?
He's better on the ball, and he's a better possession player, which matters to Greg Berhalter and everyone. And he does score. He did score a couple goals in the Bundesliga too before moving over to Norwich.
And he scored in the cup.
which if given, Bundesliga 2 is similar to the MLS level, but arguably better, and Josh Sargent goes in there and just immediately starts scoring goals. So I think whatever. I mean, this isn't the point. Josh Sargent is here because it's much more easy to justify his presence. He's been around already forever, it feels like, but he does seem like a player that's waiting to be surpassed.
Yeah.
In the pool.
Choo choo, Clayton. Choo choo.
Choo choo. Let's go with this train. I'm psyched to see him. And I think it shows Greg's ability to identify the moment with some of these call-ups and some of these decisions.
Totally.
He has been at times like at the beginning of the Gold Cup, we saw Jackson Yuill start, which was upsetting and
disturbing and
sort of physically problematic.
What's the term?
Sickening.
Sickening.
It was sickening.
Yeah, causing illness.
It gave correct.
Right.
There were symptoms of it. The fact that happened. But then we saw him, swiftly replaced by other better options. And the vibe I get from the GGG experience recently is just enough, a little too late. That's what we're going to see. And I think this call up from Ricardo Pepi fits the brand there. It's just enough, a little too late maybe, but it's happening.
But we'll take it.
It's what we wanted.
Yeah. And the only other guy who is on this roster who was on neither of the summer rosters is Conrad De La Fuente.
Let's go,
Who,
Conrad.
at the time that these summer rosters were selected, was still an unknown Barcelona youth player and has moved to Marseille, which was a big step up. I did not think he would play. And he has totally proven me wrong, gone straight into the starting lineup on a couple of occasions and already has 2 assists in 200 odd minutes. So he's doing really, really well for Marseille, which is always one of the top teams in the French league, playing with Dimitri Payet and other, top players over there.
Yeah, it's incredible to see him get some shine over there. He seemed to be in a group of players that, from the youth team at Barcelona, that was like on the naughty list for some reason. There's a few of them over there. Pedri, made it out, but there's
Elish Mariba and the little dude who's the
tiny
guy?
dude,
Ricky Puig.
Ricky Pooch.
Or Pooch, Ricky Pooch.
Yeah. That he's the
I think Elish just got shipped out.
Yeah,
as well.
Elish is great. I mean, these guys. I think there's a team waiting to happen with Conrad De La Fuente, Elish, and Pooch. All roasting on the bench. But hey, so I can see how you're considering this a step up, but I think there are lots of Barcelona fans or American-based Barcelona fans for sure who have been really confused about why Conrad De La Fuente has not already been playing for Barcelona.
I definitely count myself in that group. He had moments where he started to break through a little bit, and then there were situations where they could have been using him. It's like, minute 60, they need a goal. Minute 70, they need a goal. And they just never seem to pull the trigger on actually giving him a run of games to prove what he can do. But what I would say, having, reviewed some of his tape at the youth team level and his numbers, and watched him for the US youth teams, there's a big problem with end product. So he's one of those guys where it's he's got everything except the numbers, and it's that's okay to a degree, but at the end of the day,
it's going to be a problem.
So that's why I'm very encouraged by how he's been doing for Marseille so far, because there are numbers there, and I think if he can put that together, it's just that last decision, that last split second that's been off, but he does for that US U20 team a couple years ago. When he comes on, he definitely changes the dynamic of the game because he's such a powerful weapon, and he totally changes how the defense has to address the U.S. So I can't wait to see him. I'm not eager to chuck him in to away game in El Salvador, but I think you can have worse problems than an underseasoned Marseille winger. You know what I mean? We're used to seasoned Columbus Crew winger, and so I'll take unseasoned Marseille winger.
That's right. Yeah. So there's that's our newbies, right, coming into this group, and I think for Conrad, there's a lot to be said for him just being here, even if he doesn't play. I think he's someone who's clearly going to factor in the next, in this World Cup cycle, he's a factor.
For sure.
So getting him some of that training time, getting him with the group, I think is importante. The group, as we say, is going to finally be able to grip onto its gravitational center. For once, every once in a while, we get a beautiful opportunity to see Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, and Tyler Adams on the field at the same time.
If the stars align.
If the stars
and
align.
This actually happens, yeah.
I have not looked this up, but I think there's been 2 times that this has happened under
I
Greg.
believe it's 2 games and about 90 minutes total. That 3 of them have been on the field for this.
So Pulisic is coming off of a COVID thing. I thought potentially so is Weston McKennie. They both didn't feature for their clubs recently, a couple weekends ago.
McKennie was suspended for the first game. I guess he got a red in the last game of last season or something, or a cup game or something. But there's also an ongoing kind of transfer speculation, which we'll see if that concludes as of the deadline in a few days. Potentially moving to Tottenham is the word on the street. Juventus has to sell. So we'll see. With Pulisic, yeah, he had COVID. He was vaccinated, so he was asymptomatic. Doesn't sound like it prevented him from doing any of his own, training work, but he just couldn't be with the group. So he missed Chelsea's first 2 games, but his quarantine ends maybe tomorrow or Tuesday. So he's able to travel to the US and partake in these games. But it might be tough to start him game 1. So I would probably anticipate that he'll come off the bench against El Salvador and just, try to get to the point where the US has the game locked up and then use him in the second half or the last 30-40 minutes to get some fitness before the Canada game.
I could not be more psyched at I don't think we've spent enough hype for the opportunity to see not just these 3, the T-map midfield, which we've been discussing for actually how many years, Ty? How many? I want to set the stage. My intention here at this juncture in the show is to really paint a picture of what a big ass fucking deal this is for us. Okay. So 5-6 years ago, Ty and I started a podcast, which we hoped would latch on to the World Cup cycle just in time and explode.
Russia!
The US ended up not qualifying for that World Cup with a baby Christian Pulisic crying in the showers in his jersey and cleats, and a Tyler Adams and a Weston McKennie who were ready but not present. Nothing they could do about it. We then spent the next couple years just manging on scraps every Weston McKennie minute we could get, at Schalke in Germany. When there was a game that year where Schalke played Dortmund, Christian Pulisic, in the Riviera Derby, which is this huge rivalry, and it was a 4-4 draw, which both of these teenagers participated in.
Naldo time, baby.
It was an unbelievable soccer game, which I exposed my roommates to. And I was like, I was overjoyed. It was like the best soccer game you could ask for new fans. And they left sort of like uninterested in soccer still. And I was like, okay, after that game, there's nothing we can do. It had Americans.
It's a no-hoper.
It's no-hoper. So this is years ago, right? We've been talking about this, praying for the T-map midfield. And here we are at another World Cup cycle beginning. This is the finals of qualification, which is weird, but we join in the finals. And we're finally getting a chance, once again, to relive this dream that we hoped to live 5 years ago. The opportunity to qualify for a World Cup with this young and exciting generation, which since then has only matured. So we're now looking at a roster that not just the T-map midfield, but all around this bitch is are shiny, young, talented players that clubs around the world would love to have. Folks like Tim Weah. Folks like Brendan Aronson at RB Salzburg. Folks like Anthony Robinson and George Bello. Gio Reyna, let's go. These are all players who we didn't even know their names last cycle, and now they are the real deal. And this roster is, if you're just tuning into this team, it's a perfect time because this roster is going to produce an exciting and interesting team to watch. Period.
Yes, and what the greatest legacy of the failure in 2018 is just to make us appreciate the risk here and the drama here, because for most US fans' memories, it had always been tough to qualify, but we qualified. And then last time out, it was tough to qualify, and we failed. And we actually felt, oh my God, it can really go that wrong that we don't make it. We don't even come in third in CONCACAF, let alone fighting Mexico to be the best team in CONCACAF. Didn't even come in third. Didn't even come in fourth. So this can go so badly. And we got to witness that last time out, which is going to make it all the more exciting, dramatic. I'm going to be in that corner of my bedroom a lot.
Oh yeah.
And you know, the whole 9 yards, this whole thing, it's so epic, so dramatic, and so wonderful. So we're glad that you're here. If you started watching the team in the last couple of years, you've never experienced anything like this. It's a whole new step up in level of intensity. And then on top of that, there's a World Cup at the end of it, which is obviously an even greater step on top of that.
Yeah.
So this is the good stuff. This is what we've been waiting for this whole time. I don't care about, I'll take a Gold Cup, I'll take a Nations League. The only thing that matters to me is making it to the World Cup and doing well in the World Cup. That's like the entire focus of my soccer fandom, which occupies this very, perhaps too large part of my existence.
The World Cup is all that, for international soccer, the World Cup is all that truly matters. And it's not a stretch to say that the World Cup begins for us on September 2nd.
That is correct.
Versus El Salvador. Thank you. So Ty, tell us a little bit about the stakes here. We have to win. We're playing a round robin against 8 teams. We have to play them all, I think, home and away. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Home and away. So
yeah, the traditional format of World Cup qualifying in CONCACAF has been 6 teams in the final round. And the US did not qualify automatically for that final round. And that was called the Hex. So we would have to go through a preliminary qualification stage to get into the Hex. And they changed it around because the US has had some trouble in that round. And that round is kind of wonky. It's like you put the US with 3 weak teams, you put Mexico with 3 weak teams. It's kind of, I guess it's a little pointless. And so what CONCACAF would rather do is have more intense, final round qualifying games. So they made it an 8-team tournament, which means 14 games, 7 on the road, 7 at home. And from those 8 teams, the top 3 will qualify, and the 4th place team will go into a playoff. I'm not sure who the playoff is against this time. But what that means is that when it comes just to the final round, it is harder than before because fewer teams out of the contestants will make it. So just based on that, our odds of qualification have gone down a little. It's harder to qualify. But the longer format is amazing. It gives us much more entertainment, much more drama, and potentially time to reset if there are wobbles. So last time out, Game 1, this is story time here.
Story time!
Game 1 versus Mexico in Columbus, defending a 4-match, I think, win streak in these qualifiers in Columbus. Mr. Jurgen Klinsmann trots out a 5-in-the-back formation that has not been tried at all in any of the preliminary games leading up to the qualifying, and it fails horrifically. The players don't know what they're doing. They give up an early goal, kind of scrap their way back into it, and then Mexico scores and wins the game. So Mexico beats the US in the first qualifier. Second qualifier, down in Costa Rica, the second hardest qualifier in the group. And the US is flat, lacks motivation, doesn't seem ready, loses 4-0. And Jurgen Klinsmann gets fired. Bruce Arena takes over. Bruce Arena gets some initial results back where they need to be. There's signs of life, but then starts fading towards the end, and the US doesn't qualify. And it could be that in that scenario, if we had a couple more games, maybe there would have been more time to recover from that early stumble. So that in that way, it could play into our hands because we're one of the teams that's, quote unquote, supposed to qualify. But that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at I think it's about 8 months of windows where it's going to be 3 games per window. Thick and fast, points to be won all over the place. And it's a big league table, and we just want to be in one of those top 3 spots. I'll just go for the top spot. I think we should just
LFG.
do that.
Let's get the top
LFG,
spot.
yeah.
So starting versus El Salvador. What can you tell us about El Salvador? What should we look out for in this first qualifier?
So El Salvador, traditionally, like most of the Central American teams, they are hardworking, they're very scrappy, they're very sort of plucky, and they're definitely good if they can find a way to get an early goal or grind you down to, late in the game with it still 0-0. They're gonna find every possible way they can to get that result over the line, and you'll see, especially with El Salvador at home, the fans getting involved, the whole atmosphere being incredibly hostile and difficult for the U.S. And that's going to go from the moment they land in the airport to the moment they leave. They're going to be getting shit the entire time. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be, very, very hot. It's going to be noisy. There will be people outside the hotel at 3 a.m, all that stuff. Classic CONCACAF experience. People throwing things at the bus, yada, yada. But what's different about this El Salvador team this time around is they have a little bit of a resurgence in the overall level of quality that's being led, in fact, by a former member of the U.S. national team program, Hugo Perez, who was one of our main scouts, went to Mexico to be a scout, and now has this opportunity to be the head coach with El Salvador. And he is joined by his nephew, Josh Perez, formerly of LAFC, now playing in USL, who was himself a US youth team player, along with Alex Roldan, brother of Christian Roldan. And so you have this new phenomenon where dual nationals who might have previously been in contention to play with the US, or at least on the fringes enough that they would want to keep trying, they're not able to. The US pool has gotten so much stronger that you're seeing more players move to some of their other CONCACAF nations that they could represent. We saw this with Ayo Akinola, for instance, going to play for Canada, and some of the other, David Ochoa is another example, committed to Mexico recently. And that's just because it's hard to see him getting significant time anytime soon for the US with 2 or even 3 relatively strong, youngish goalkeepers, and it might be a better opportunity somewhere else. This is this weird new thing that's happening where the US pool is so good that people are starting to drift into the other teams, and El Salvador has been benefiting from this. Their performances have gotten a lot better. They were one of the surprises of the Gold Cup, playing a pretty good style, and so we should be seeing kind of a different style of El Salvador soccer than just trying to pick off a goal and then defend the goal. But I fully expect all the dark arts to be on display. That's just that's how it works.
The dual nat Hugo Perez thing is really interesting. I mean, at the time that Hugo Perez left, that was shortly after he who shall not be named, Julian Gonzalez, what's his name? Jonathan Gonzalez? Julian?
Julian Gonzalez is our friend. Jonathan Gonzalez went to play for Mexico.
Okay.
Not our friend.
Not our friend anymore. We old friends. Frenemies.
Frenemies, yeah, exactly.
But Hugo Perez was sort of it seemed related phenomenon. There was like a at the time a sensation that there was if I recall, there was like some sort of contention around whether or not players felt comfortable speaking Spanish in the US camps,
right,
which would make sense if Spanish is one of their main languages, and would make sense being in America. Speaking Spanish makes sense. That's a thing that happens here a lot, all the time.
The time. There's lots of people who mostly speak Spanish.
Yeah,
that's okay.
It's totally chill. And at the time there was a lot of German being spoken in the U.S. team, and still maybe is a little bit, but at the time there was a lot of German being spoken in the U.S.
Honestly, just this quick side note on that. Yeah. I bet it's all over the place, man. Because somebody's got to talk to PFOC in French. Presumably. I mean, I'm sure he speaks great English, but I'm sure he's more comfortable in
Pafak
French.
is
And
has
Timo
telepathy.
has got to be, his French has to be incredible.
Yeah, he's got every language.
He's got every
He forgets
language.
what language he's in at the moment. He switches
exactly.
over based on what.
So
face he sees
I'm
in
guessing
front of him.
we've got 5 or 6 languages flying around on
Yeah.
in your average scrimmage for the U.S.,
So-
which is exactly like pickup here, and that's
That's
just how
what
it
we
should
love.
work.
We love that. It's how it should be. But so Hugo Perez leaves, and with him takes the optimism that we would, and confidence that we'd be able to serve our Mexican American dual national
Right.
population, because he represented the ability to speak to that experience, the Mexican American experience, from a USMNT perspective, and make people feel welcome and invited. And the fact that he left was a serious indictment on our ability to connect with the very real and significant portion of our player pool and more importantly our fan base for this team that is Mexican American.
And he is from El Salvador, to be clear, but in general, to integrate more Latin American players is what we're trying to say.
Thank you for that. That needed to be said. But having Hugo Perez as head coach of the El Salvadorian national team with Alex Roldan, as you mentioned, et cetera, versus a Ricardo Pepi who represents the stopgap here. So I don't have a problem at all with the U.S. losing our B team players to other nations. I think Ayo Akinola and Alex Roldan both fall in that category. Players that probably wouldn't have gotten a real shot. But we are at serious risk when you start to think about when you start to think about the Mexican American players specifically. We're at serious risk of losing A-team prospects because of alienating and ostracizing this important population, this important American population. So David Ochoa almost comes to mind. He's at the quality of a Zach Steffen. He has a little Brad Guzan effect happening where he's just slightly the wrong age. And is sort of will be doomed to a BT-mitis. But the other dude who just left from LA Galaxy, what's his name? He was at the Gold Cup.
Oh, yeah.
Efra Alvarez. That strikes me as closer to an A-team prospect. Efra Alvarez could have been, I think, like up there with a Brendan Aronson type, similar levels.
Well, yeah, he's kind of as good as Brendan Aronson was 3 years ago.
And he's
so he has the potential to become a Brendan Aronson, but Brendan Aronson has become so much more than what he looked at the time. So like when I look at Conrad De La Fuente is like a fringe US national team player, Conrad De La Fuente is way better than Efra Alvarez. Sorry. So I'm not bothered by it. I get the point though. I mean, it's definitely a bigger miss.
Okay, bigger miss. And
I just don't see a pattern anymore. I don't see like a pattern of incompetence, with Jonathan Gonzalez never reaching out to the family, for instance, like that kind of stuff. And that attitude of like, if they don't really want to play for us, we don't want them anyway. It's like, that's not how this works. I see a very active, like full court press to get guys like Dest to commit and presumably lots of discussions with Pepe, and it's just like college recruiting. Like you can't just hold your hands up and say, well, if they don't really want to come to Clemson, that's fine. It's like, no, you're going to have to compete a little bit. And that's just the reality of the situation. And I think it's worth it. I think it's good for the players to have to be kind of heard. It's not just a matter of getting called in and shut up. I think it's good for the program to kind of have to tailor things in a way that the players need to succeed.
And it wasn't that I wasn't upset that Jonathan Gonzalez chose Mexico. I was upset that Jonathan Gonzalez probably would have chosen the US. I think something bad happened to this young man.
Right.
In fact,
Right.
We showed this incompetence. Theoretically there are players who do want to play for us, but they're just getting wined and dined, by Mexico. And so, and I also think Ricardo Pepi is one of our first chances post what's his face. There's been a couple chances to have a Mexican American star in this generation of players, and right now Ricardo Pepi is our best hope.
Yeah, and we've never had that sort of transcendent Mexican American player, and I don't think Ricardo Pepi is likely to be that, but I sure hope that happens someday, because that will be a huge milestone. Not only now having in MLS a lot of the top Mexican national team players, but imagine having, not only one, but maybe 2 or 3 really top level Mexican American players who are, visibly, proudly Mexican, proudly American, choose to represent the US. And that's just a part of their story. It wasn't a backup plan, it wasn't anything negative on the part of the Mexican Federation. It's just, no, I want to play with this awesome team,
Yeah.
So I think that would be a big breakthrough moment for the USMNT and in attracting the attention that they deserve.
Yep. So this is all going to go swimmingly according to plan, right?
Yeah, exactly. 14-0, baby.
So let's do like what you would want to see as your 11 and
yes.
Talk me through it,
okay.
It looks pretty good. It's starting to look pretty exciting.
It is looking exciting. So this roster, I was kind of pondering like who's missing from the ostensible A-team roster for the Nations League. So I was just looking that up, and what I notice is Miazga's missing, Ewell, Musa, who's been injured, just came back yesterday, but not ready. Ochoa we lost, and then Cannon didn't make it. So that's 5 guys from the Nations League roster who have been either turned over, like are either injured or have been turned over with guys who performed well in the Gold Cup. So that seems about right. That seems like a solid ratio. You had an A team and a B team. Some of the guys got relegated from the A team. Some of the guys got promoted from the B team, like Miles Robinson, Jimmy Sando, etc.
Yeah.
So I really like the composition. And so where does that leave us with an 11 now? This is the 11 that we want to see.
Let's do, while you're doing that, any other final shout outs to names who did not make this roster, who maybe you would have wanted to see? I think maybe there's a Luca Busio, a Gianluca Busio.
Maybe
I think for me instead of James Sands, but I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. I don't
totally
think it's. I'm not up in arms about it. But
I'm surprised to see James Sands because I didn't think he played that
I didn't think
well.
He was that
I thought
great.
he just played a lot.
But James Sands can play center back in a 2, a 3, and he can play a 6.
Right.
So I get it. I totally get it. Maybe I would take James Sands and Busio and no Tim Ream. And as Ty mentioned in a text to me, which is hilarious, just make this guy a coach. Why do we have to put him on the fucking roster? We want him for his leadership.
One thing I notice is that it's 26, which I wonder. You're allowed to bring as many players as you can, but the official game day roster is 23. But apparently you can switch between 23s, which is interesting, and it enforces the idea that we've had of you could bring 40. Yeah, you could bring 46. Just swap them. It enforces the idea that we've had about an away team and a home team. Maybe with a similar core of 4 or 5 players, but you change the other players to suit the environment or the need. So I like that. And so I don't mind as much because Tim Ream's not taking up space in a 23 that somebody else could be filling. He seems to be the 26th guy on an overstuffed roster as opposed to blocking
double
anybody.
Stuffed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's double stuffed
all right.
with Tim Reams.
But I think, one final shout out to the next Clint Dempsey, the GOAT of all time.
Happiness is the truth.
Happiness is the truth. Thank you.
Yeah, I would love for him to be on here. I can see why not. It's busy up there with young talent. But I thought of everybody in the Gold Cup, he showed the most specialness. Yeah. So I missed that.
Apparently him and Pulisic are good friends, and I want to see them. I need more footage of that.
The Ruhr Valley buddies.
I want them high five. I want to see them talking something. I need some
streaming
content
Fortnite
on that. I need something, guys. All right. So no other people no other misses here. Then we can go into the 11.
There's not a huge amount. I mean, I would love to see Musa here, but I get the injury thing.
Yeah.
I don't think he was excluded based on his skill. I think it was just
the Musa thing is really just keeps us hanging. He's yet to be captied.
Yeah, the drama is thick. He's officially committed in an Instagram video, but that's it. That's the only commitment.
And this is like when you're in a relationship that like and like the other person like doesn't want to admit that it's a relationship yet.
Yeah. This
they don't
is
want
my
to put
friend.
a label on it.
Yeah. I just don't want to put a label on this. Like, maybe you just don't want to put a label on me. Maybe I'm the thing that you don't want to label.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's who in the metaphor, but it's concerning regardless. All right. Ty,
All right. Let's go.
Let's get 11. Let's get 11.
Get out there, boys. First choice is hard.
But give
the
some
first
gloves.
choice is really hard.
First choice is the hardest.
I want to go. I want
to
to do this away team, home team. I want to do the away team, home team thing.
Do El Salvador.
El Salvador.
So,
Matt Turner.
Okay, away. It's away to El Salvador. So we're away team. You're away teaming this.
I'm away teaming this. I'm assuming bad field, hot, not the best Zach Steffen situation.
Okay, and I will respond. You will need to tell me if this is an every time pick or an away team pick, and I will respond with either an agree. And if it is an away team pick, I will give you my because I don't know. I will and I'll respond in some way.
Okay.
My response to yours. So you say away team, Matt Turner. My response to that is I'm fine with it. I'm good with it. For me, no matter what game we're playing, it is difficult to choose between Zach Steffen and Matt Turner. You are choosing between good feet, and zero mistakes. You can choose one.
Exactly.
Good feet or zero mistakes.
Exactly.
And it is a difficult choice.
But
I'm happy with the Matt Turner decision here. All right, next up.
Right back.
Are you going 3 in the back or what?
Two in the back.
4-3-3. You're a 4-3-3 guy.
4-3-3 all day.
Every day. Every day.
Right back, Serginho Destino. Every team, Serginho Destino.
Every team. Good.
Center backs.
I like just quick mention for having Pulisic and Dest both on the left is dope to watch.
Good point.
Really
good point.
That is a really good time. But I'm fine with it.
It's
right
a
side.
really good time. That is a really good time. That's true.
And we do have a Ghent tattooed DeAndre Yedlin in camp to debutize. But okay, all right. So already, true. Who's your left back then? Let's talk about the right back, left back.
Well, I think I want to go for Anthony Robinson, but I don't really like him in El Salvador.
Yeah,
I don't really like him in El Salvador. So maybe what I would do in El Salvador, I'm having second thoughts based on your feedback, is Dest on the left and then either do the Adams right back thing or Yedlin.
What? Don't do the Adams right. Fuck out of here with the Adams right back thing. I'm fine with Dest Yedlin, and I'm also fine with Bello Yedlin, respectively. Dest, is on a different side in either one of those. But
I think I'm changing my mind. I want Yedlin on the field for El Salvador.
Okay.
Because I think the dude, his pace works anywhere. He can scramble and prevent, like, if something's going wrong.
Oh man,
he can intervene.
Speaking of Turnerverse,
and he's experienced. So I like this.
Yeah, we joke about the Turnerverse. Like every game that Matt Turner's in, he switches us to a different parallel universe at least once per game. There is a Yedlin verse as well, where it's like something chaotic happens. There's always a good laugh with Yedlin. He does something that's both athletic and ridiculous.
Correct.
So
unorthodox.
The entertainment value is always on point.
Yeah.
I think Dest Yedlin is the right choice.
I like it
for this game.
Like it.
All right, center backs. I'm going for Brooks, left center back, and the away team, I want Zimmerman on the right. Wow.
Home team, I want Robinson.
Wow, son. Okay, I want Brooks Robinson. I want to see it so bad. Brooks Robinson could be the thing for this cycle with a sneaky Chris Richards as a backup.
There could be nothing wrong with Miles Robinson on the away team. We just haven't seen it. He hasn't played much for the youth team, so I haven't seen him go into that kind of environment. So
and Walker Zimmerman
and Walker Zimmerman is a freaking tank, and he can handle it.
Love it. So I vote Brooks Robinson, and you're going Walker Zimmerman.
Yeah.
Midfield. We're gonna have a midfield 3. We assume. So who are you going with to start here?
I'm going with Adams, McKennie, Reyna.
In the midfield.
Yes. Reyna
So Reyna
10.
as a 10
Yeah.
and a dual 8
Dual 8
situation.
Yeah. Pivot 8s.
Oh, I love it. Anything to get Tyler
Or
Adams,
6-8-10. 6-8-10 is fine with me.
or 6-8-10. Yeah, with I'm assuming Weston as the 8 in there.
Yeah. Weston is the 8. Yeah.
It's pretty lit. It's pretty fucking lit. Anytime I can see Weston and Tyler like high-fiving and partner defensing up, I'm happy with it. That is just incredible. I am a little concerned, away team especially, about Gio Reyna at the 10. It's a lot of internal traffic happening. A lot of shiesty tight space things going on in there. I
could see that.
I might feel better with him out wide.
Would you then think of Leggett? Maybe
I would go Leggett.
Okay.
For this.
I can see Leggett doing well in an away team situation, and Gio not doing well.
Yeah. I think Gio is a little. I'm just worried about his mentality in those spaces.
He's a tough one to leave off the team, but winger, he's less of a liability.
Nations League, what he showed in Nations League started to relax my concerns about his mentality a little bit. He seems to be someone who has a garbage mentality unless he's truly challenged. Like he needs a real challenge, and then his mentality is perfect, which is
right. Okay,
it's kind of that's what you want. So we'll see. But
I'm gonna buy this. I'm buying this. I like it. What
I don't want to see is Kellen Acosta at the 6.
Yes, please no.
Please
Dear
no.
God, no.
And I think we might see Kellen Acosta at the 6 with Adams McKennie as like a 8-10 situation.
Yeah, I want Adams as the 6, and then if we go Leggett, then it's 2 8s with no 10, which is totally fine with me. In that with the amount of creativity.
But you want Adams as a pure 6 in the middle. Running the show.
That would be my preference. Run the show.
I love that. I think that Adams,
QB1.
even at Red Bull this year, he seems injury free. Even at Red Bull, I don't think they run the ball through him enough. I think he's a player who, if you really trust his vision and you just run the play through him, there will be some annoying like Nagby-ish situations where the ball's just going backwards too often. But 1 out of 5, he cracks the back line wide open with a pass. Just run it through this kid. Just keys. Give him the keys. All the keys. Okay.
I agree. I think we're agreed, at least for the away game, on Leggett.
So we'll go Adams, McKennie, Leggett. Yeah. Okay.
And then that takes a winger spot for Gio.
Yep. Gio's starting.
Gio on the right. Pulisic on the left.
Woo! Spicy
meatball. I don't like Pulisic on the road, but he's so good that bad Pulisic is still fine.
And it's also Pulisic. This is the Frank Lampard thing where every team has to have players that never that always start, and your team lives or dies. I think Jurgen Klinsmann brought this idea to the table.
Yeah,
that your team lives or dies based on whether or not they can handle the situation, and you never even question form anything. If they can play, they play. And Pulisic is that guy for us.
Yep. And I'll go with a unusual 9-point pick.
Oh,
Timo.
baby.
I want Timo.
Not unusual. I've been crying for the Tim Weah.
Get out there.
9. Let's go.
He can play kind of a false 9 situation.
He's got it. He's going
to work super, super hard.
Yeah.
And he's totally not going to crack under the pressure. That the man thrives. He
only
eats
feels
pressure
alive
for breakfast.
Yeah, he doesn't feel alive unless there's at least $100,000.
I think Josh Sargent would just collapse if
Josh Sargent is not ready.
I don't want anyone throwing urine at Josh Sargent. I'll just put it that way. I don't think that ends well.
It's not that I want people throwing urine at Tim Weah. I'm just not worried about that situation. I'm not concerned.
I'm just not as concerned about it.
He's fine. He's gonna be fine. Josh is a little bit like you have to. Everybody wants to invite Josh, but you have to think about which club you go to. You know? We like exactly. Josh. Yeah. It's not that we don't want him in the friend group.
Right.
We just don't think Josh is gonna enjoy going to that club.
He doesn't like secrets. It's too icky.
I want that so bad. I want us to pack it in a little bit more than we do. I want us to play with a deeper lying, back line, and then I want us to spring on the counter. Can you imagine Gio Reyna, Tim Weah, and Christian Pulisic with a laboring Sebastian Leggett just
catching up late,
trying to catch up late? Oh, the beauty, the splendor of that front three going at you on the counter is immeasurable.
And the counter thing, that's exactly what we want to do. So
Yeah.
El Salvador's inclination is going to be to sit back, right? But they're changing their philosophy a little bit. So let them play. Come at me,
their
bro.
fucking hearts.
Totally, every time.
Yes.
Play like old school pep countering or Klopp countering.
Yes. Let's do this thing.
Heavy metal football.
And I don't think that we're not a high press
Not in El Salvador.
Team
in
El Salvador
August or
at the
whatever,
moment.
September. Yeah. No thanks.
We could be in the future. We could be. We're
the
just
home
not
game
there.
against Canada. Yes.
Absolutely. That's a high press situation.
Yes. And so for that game, from the roster that we just named, as I said, I want Robinson at center back, so that's a difference. Pull Yedlin, put Dest on the right, put Anthony Robinson on the left. The USMNT family Robinson. This is happening. So we've got Dest and Robinson on the wings, on the ends of the back line.
So we're playing.
Then in the midfield,
two-man back line.
Then we go for the Geo 10 or Aronson 10.
I'm good with
and then
that.
put the other one out on the wing. So Gio at the 10, and then Aronson on the right,
Or,
Pulisic,
no,
and
Gio-
then put Sargent or anybody.
I would do
at
Sargent at the 9 and Weah on the wing. But Sargent at
Sure,
the 9
that
in a
works,
high press
yeah.
system is perfect.
And put Stefan in goal on the
Zach
front
Steffen
foot.
in goal all day.
We win 5-1.
Yeah. All right, now I see the vision. This is Ty's vision for the USMNT.
And both of these are super fun to watch. I would love to see the US just like frustrate and bully El Salvador by like forcing them out of their comfort zone, letting the pressure get to them a little bit. First qualifier at home in front of a big crowd. They're going to want to open it up. They're going to want to come at us and try to hurt us. So we just focus on not conceding, being super solid, and then just kill them on the break every time with our speed.
Yes, baby. Yes, please, Ty. Let's get a little hopes and fears for this. So it's going to be 3 games, folks. Stay with us for all of them. We're September 2nd versus El Salvador. We're September 5th. That's a Sunday versus Canada. And then we are September 8th versus Honduras. These are all nighttime games. So find them, stream them, and hit us up on YouTube. Ty, just El Salvador, because we're going to talk again before Canada. Hopes and fears. What are you hoping for, one, and what are you fearing for?
My fear is clearer than my hope. My fear is that no one notices. So my fear is that this is not on ESPN, doesn't make the front page of any of the sports websites, it's not in the newspaper, etc. Because World Cup qualifying is and should be a big deal in our sports landscape. And we lost some ground last time because we were getting there, but we lost some ground. So this cycle will show us if the USMNT has progressed into a new level of the sports landscape here in the US, or if we're where we were before. And it would suck if we were where we were before, but it would be understandable. Where, I've gone to so many of these qualifiers where I have to tell them at a sports bar that the national team of the country is playing a World Cup qualifier. I have to ask them to put it on in the little TV in the corner where I don't have the sound, and I'm listening to some bullshit, random college football game or something. So this has to end. This is what we're trying to do here. Well, rate and review, baby.
I have to tell I got to tell you,
we're trying.
I suspect that we are exactly where we were 4 years ago.
I
guess 5 years ago this time. I suspect that from our own podcast numbers, and also just from the way it feels. The big difference, guys, is the team that we are bringing to this situation. The amount that people are missing has gone way up. So before, people were missing a little bit. They were a little less aware.
There was more to watch than they thought.
Right now, people have no idea how fucking dope this team can be.
It's dope on a global scale. There are lots of countries that would kill to have the roster that we have right now. Good
so
countries.
many. 90% of all the countries want to have a team that looks like ours.
Yeah.
So it's fucking lit. I'm so excited. I'm gonna go with my hope here in this game is for a. I want to see a Tim Weah Serginho Dest dance off in the box. So this happened. I forget it, at some point in the Nations League there was a little karaoke Dance Revolution party in the box with Tim Weah and DeAndre Yedlin, and it's the most mind-bending shit you could. It's not effective. We need to get these guys some pep in their water or something to get them to do more like game savvy actions.
This is a buddy comedy waiting to happen.
It's the entertainment value of these two guys kind of like competing for greatest Gotham in the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when if we go ahead by a few goals, we're gonna see a competition for greatest Gotham between Serginho Dest and
Absolutely.
Tim Weah. 100%, and I love it. Get on those dancing shoes, Timmy.
My prediction though is that Serginho Dest to me is barely on the away team. I gotta admit.
Wow,
he's barely on the away team. I think he's
Wow.
not going to be up for what they're going to throw at him. But the reason I want to put him out there is to get him ready for the next 7.
He's to me he's close to the undroppable list. I think he's on.
I don't think he's at all
list.
undroppable.
He's undroppable for me. He's in. I say Pulisic, McKennie,
Adams,
and Dest are my
Brooks.
undroppables. Brooks is not undroppable to me.
In your view?
Yeah, I think because what we're talking about with an undroppable player is someone who is considered like the spine of the team. And if Chris Richards and Robinson are playing better, that's a win for us. We want someone to get better than John Brooks.
That's a bizarre
I guess
place to be.
It's a strange argument. I guess I've lost myself in this argument a little bit. But your point was Dest is not locked in as much as
Not
for
to
you
me.
as he is
Not
for
to
me.
me. I think he's going to have a couple qualifying. He'll score some worldies at home, but he's going to have a lot of rough games in qualifying.
And this is because he's Ajax and Barcelona primed. He's never seen a cup of urine in his life. He doesn't know what happens. He doesn't know what happens to feces after it leaves the body. He doesn't know. He doesn't flush because he's never had to.
Oh my god.
We don't know. That's true. I don't know.
Because you got to.
Yeah.
It's a lot of miles. So he's going Spain to Nashville to El Salvador, back to Nashville. Then I forget the second game. It's the second away game, but another away game. It's a lot of travel.
It's a lot.
It's a
lot.
climate he's totally not used to. This is not Amsterdam in September. We're talking some real heat here. So I think he's so good that I'm willing to still go for it, but I do predict that I think he will be a weak point in the team in this game and in the away games until he catches on to it.
Well. So then my fear, I'll do my fear and then you got to do a hope. My fear is that Dest proves you right here. I love Dest. I love him so much. I want the best for Dest. The Dest is yet to come. But you're right. He's defensively weak at times. And my fear is that he proves you right. Another quick fear is that we see a Kellen Acosta, Jordan Pefok starting lineup. It's just, this could be so inspiring and exciting. And I love you, Kellen Acosta. I love you, Jordan Pefok. But you're not fitting the brand that I envision for this team moving forward.
No.
So,
my hope is for a signature Pulisic moment.
Oh,
because he's had a lot of good ones at home, but even at home, World Cup qualifying last time, he went missing in a lot of the games. He's 17, very understandable. But now's his time. He's getting into his prime. He is the leader of the team. He's got to be... Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. He's not the leader, but he's definitely the best player, right?
He's the best player.
He's the best player. So he needs to show that. He needs to lead by example, even if he's not being the vocal leader that Weston or Tyler will be. So that's my hope, is that this is not just for this game, but this qualifying is Christian Pulisic's kind of coming out as that alpha guy. And
that guy.
we we've seen flashes, but we just haven't seen it happen yet. And that's what we will need going into a potential World Cup to feel like we have a shot at success.
Who do you think is the long-term team captain between Weston and
I would
Tyler?
like Tyler Adams to be team captain, president, secretary general of the UN, anything else we can think of.
They have an interesting like good cop, bad cop thing going on between the two of them. I'm not sure which is which, but it's
Yeah, who's
definitely
the bad cop?
It's
Yeah.
peanut butter and jelly here. It's like boring cop, cool cop.
Yeah.
With Tyler as the boring cop.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And
Tyler's really worried about making sure everyone does the paperwork. You know what I mean?
yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Pulisic's like, strap me up, I'm getting out there.
Well, Pulisic, you're talking. McKennie is like, strap me. McKennie
McKennie,
is like,
totally.
fuck the fucking paperwork.
Yeah,
McKennie's like leading with his in a sort of this zany sort of personality way. I don't think Pulisic should ever be the captain. I think it should always be between someone else. I think
Totally
it's good.
fair, yeah.
There's something very good about having a captain that's not your best player. There's something right about that. I'm not sure.
Right.
We'll
Yeah.
continue this thought later.
Another thing that's odd, one last thought about this roster and this team is that there's no troublesome personality. There seems to be very little sort of infighting. There's no Jeff Cameron, no Jermaine Jones kind of stirring up discontent. I haven't heard many people complaining about minutes, complaining about chances, etc. And that's a really good thing. So it seems like a more cohesive group than we've had in a long time. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that it's such a cluster of age.
Yeah.
So we used to have like a smattering of young guys along with pretty much nobody in the middle and a bunch of old guys. And that can't be good for the cohesion of the group. But now
We
it's
also
like,
need to, for what, because I think you're right. The team does seem to have that sort of like, it's a noticeable lack of conflict, internal conflict. And it occurs to me that we ought to thank our lucky stars that Pulisic happened first and Gio Reyna happened not first. You know, I don't want to say second because a few things happened in between. Maybe fifth.
Yeah, Gio first
Reyna
would have
happened.
been...
Gio first would have been a generational disaster to just have this, because his bar for allowing his ego to take over is really low. It was like being one of the young guys on the under 18 team. He was like started to get a big head.
Totally. Yeah.
And if Gio in a couple years will likely be the best player on this team.
Gio's the one guy on the roster or on the team right now where I think he has the potential to be the best player in the world. I think the ship has sailed for the other guys, but Gio is on a trajectory that those guys have done in the past.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous.
Recently
this kid
became the youngest player ever to get to 50 Bundesliga appearances. Not foreign player.
No, ever.
The youngest soccer player ever to play 50 times.
I believe he is tied with his dad for goals in the Bundesliga right now. We're talking about Claudio
So
Reyna.
amazing.
This is like
Yeah.
a talismanic
absolute legend
talent.
of
a
US
legend.
soccer. Yeah.
His son is 18 years old and just tied him up in the Bundesliga
God.
for 6 goals. Incredible.
I hope he goes in that package deal to Real Madrid.
Let's do this thing. Fuck
Let's
it.
do this.
Fuck it. A couple years ago, I'd be like, no, don't go. Stay at Dortmund. But now I'm like, let's fucking do this. What are we waiting for?
He's getting ready.
Yeah.
He's got to show up this year, but I think after this year he'll be ready.
This has become a different show, but the Jadon Sancho transfer is really helpful for
The Jaden's transfer.
Transfro. The Jadon transfo.
Jaden transfer.
It's very helpful for our Gio Reyna development watch. It makes him him and Erling Haaland are just the center of Dortmund now. It's awesome.
They are indeed.
Alrighty.
For better or worse.
Alrighty. Any last words here before
I'm
we
just so
leave the
psyched.
people?
So
psyched.
since Trinidad, there has not been a game that's as big as the game on Thursday. So I'm gonna be nervous. I'm gonna be, freaking out about it until the whistle blows and there's 3 points in the bag.
Let's fucking go. I love it. Folks, I love block parties. There was a block party on my block yesterday. I love that it happened. I attended for about 5 minutes. I ate some chicken. I went back to my bedroom. It's the type of supporter I am. But I was there, and I love that it happened. I really enjoy messaging apps. So WhatsApp has been really helpful. Problem is it's owned by big corporate. So consider using Signal instead, which is an open source code. And we'll never be taken advantage of if we all just use Signal instead. So I love that. And I especially love me some Sour Patch Kids, but they leave my teeth feeling like Swiss cheese, and it's very uncomfortable because it reminds me how badly I need to see a dentist. But I don't love any of that stuff as much as I absolutely love the gnats. Let's
Goodbye,
fucking
people.
go. Goodbye, people.
It's We the Peeps. It's We the Peeps. Welcome to We the Peeps. Are you ready for We the Peeps? Holy moly, it's We the Peeps.